All right. Good afternoon. Hope you guys had a good day. Um, let's get started in a child's pose. Okay, so you can bring those knees as wide as you would like, okay, or as close together as you would like. So if you go a little bit wider with those knees, you get a little bit more hip opening. If you do knees a little bit close together, you get a little bit more rounding through your spine. Now, if you notice that when you sit at a desk, you're a little bit hunched over, okay, we all do it, it's fine. Okay, but if you sit like that, let's not do knees together. Let's bring the knees oof, a little bit wider. And then we'll walk those hands forward. Okay, that way you get that opening through that upper back. So you kind of get that extension instead of that rounding. It might be a little bit tight, might not feel super, super great. But just as we breathe into this, relax, let that chest melt down towards the mat. Just closing down those eyes. Breathing in and out through the nose. Really feeling that expansion of the rib cage, that expansion of the belly, and then pressing all of that air out, tightening that core to release all of that air. And then again, inhaling that big breath in. As we exhale, think about pulling that chest down towards the mat a little bit more. Stretch through that upper back. Now let's lift up just slightly. We're going to walk those hands over to that right side. You can walk those hands off of the mat, depending on how much stretch you want. Big reach through that right arm, or through the, left arm. The left hip is pressing back towards that left heel. Find that big side stretch along that left side. Focusing that breath into that left side body. Then we'll walk those hands to center, and we'll go over to that other side. So big reach out through that right arm, resting that head down, pressing that right hip back. And then we'll walk those hands back to center. Let's come up onto those hands and knees. Let's find a few rounds of cat-cow. So on that inhale, let's go into that cow pose first. So drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. And then exhale, we'll round that spine. Press those shoulder blades away from each other, bringing that chin to the chest, looking towards those thighs, really rounding through that upper back, mid back, low back, pulling that tailbone down towards the mat. And then inhale, we'll drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. And inhale, lift. And round. Now bring it back to our neutral spine. And we'll keep those hips up nice and high. We're going to slide those hands forward. A little more stretch to the shoulders and upper back. Spreading all those fingers. Press into the palms, forms. We'll pull forward towards each other as we rest that forehead down. Keep that core tight. Keep those hips high. One more breath. And then we'll slide it forward onto those forearms, stepping those feet back. We're going to come into that forearm plank. So pulling those elbows back, pulling those toes forward, a lot of core work. Let's go a couple more breaths. So think squeezing those legs together, really strong for the legs, the core. Arms, fingers sweep grippy into the mat. Now we're gonna lift those hips up and up into that down dog position. But the forearms are still down, so we're coming into our dolphin. And then we're gonna walk those feet up to those elbows. Okay, so if those legs are feeling a little bit tight, maybe you don't walk those feet as far. That's okay. I think press the tailbone up, press those heels down, pressing the shoulders back behind those elbows. One more breath. And then we'll walk those feet back, lower those hips down into our Sphinx pose, pull those elbows back, lifting up through that crown of the head. Then we'll soften it on down, hands come underneath those shoulders, reversing that plank. So try and lift all at once. Hips and shoulders lift all at once. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go. Reverse, and then hips up now into our downward facing dog. So take a moment, pedal those feet out, sway those hips. Any movement that you might need. Bending those knees as much as you need to. And then we'll come onto those toes. Bend those knees, stepping those feet up top of the mat. Inhale, the half lift, so hands will come up to the shins. Exhale, slide those hands down as we hold. Bending into those knees, flat back. Let's rise up to standing, reaching those arms up nice and tall. And exhale it, bring it right back down. Finding that flat back on the inhale. And exhale, plant the hands, stepping those feet back to our plank. Let's add in a push-up. So kneeling if you need to. Lower shoulders, high to those elbows. Press it back up, and then we'll move through that vinyasa. So on this first one, if you don't want to lower all the way onto the stomach, a little more warm up through that low back, you can. So maybe just lifting up into that cobra. So maybe you lift those arms or hands up too. Pull the elbows back, pulling those shoulders down and away. We'll feel the lats, the lower lats start to engage a little bit more. And then we'll soften it down, roll those toes under. Let's reverse that plank, and then hips to the sky, down dog. And then we'll come onto the toes. Bend those knees, stepping those feet up top of the mat, sliding the hands to the shins, half lift. Exhale, slide the hands down as we fold. Bend into those knees, flatten out that back, rise up to standing, reach up nice and tall. Pressing the hips forward, arms reach back. Then exhale, we'll bring it right back down. Half lift on that inhale. Exhale, plant those hands, step those feet back. One push up. And then we'll lower down. Maybe it's that low plank, and we flip the toes, lift it up into that up dog. And then exhale, we'll send those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good, now we'll inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step those feet, top of the mat. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to standing, reach it up tall, hips forward, arms back. Exhale it right back down. Half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step or hop it back into that push-up and vinyasa. Exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Now inhale, come onto those toes, rounding that spine, pull that belly up and in, we'll roll it forward to our plank. Now drop the heels to the right, left arm reaches up. Now from here, we're gonna lower our left forearm down. Okay, drop the heels to the left, right arm reaches up. And now lower both forearms down. So that right forearm will lower down. Plant the hands down. So grip the fingertips. Now press the hips back. We'll walk those feet up to those elbows. Press the shoulders back slightly. Really press that tailbone up. Press those heels down. Now bring those feet together. Lifting that right leg up. And lower it back down. Left leg is going to lift. And lower it back down. Walk those feet back to that plank. Hips will lower down. Sphinx pose, drawing the top of the head up, elbows back. And then we'll soften it down. Reversing that plank. Hips to the sky, down dog. And now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step or hop those feet, top of the mat. Toes together to touch, finding that half lift. And exhale those hands down as we fold. We'll rise up to standing, reach it up nice and tall. Exhale, sink those hips down into that chair. Drawing those elbows down, we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, open up through that chest, drop the hips down a little bit lower. One more breath. And then we'll start to hover the chest, keep those fingers interlaced, straighten the legs as we fold. Now releasing those hands down towards the mat. We're going to plant those hands, step or hop it back, moving into that vinyasa. Exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Feet together, inhaling, that right leg lifts. Curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, curl it in, stepping that foot through. Back heel is going to stay lifted. Inhaling those arms up overhead. Interlacing those fingers behind the head. Draw those, actually keep the elbows wide first. Okay, so we're going to bend into that front knee a little bit more. Keep that core tight. And then find that side bend over to that right side. Inhale, bring it back up. Pull those elbows towards each other. And then lift the head so the elbows are starting to point up towards the ceiling. Bend into that front knee a little bit more. Now we'll release those arms up, straighten that front leg. Lift the back heel up nice and high. And then fold. So hands can come to the shin, ankle, or maybe the hands come all the way down towards the ground. We want to keep our hips nice and level, not dropping those hips over to either side. One more breath. And then let's replant those hands, stepping it back to a plank or even a three-legged plank for a little more challenge. Lower down. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, hips to the sky, down dog. Now inhaling, that left leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Stepping that foot through. Inhaling, those arms will reach up into that high crescent lunge. Edge that knee a little more. Then we'll interlace those fingers behind the head. Keep those elbows wide. And then we'll bend it over to the left side. Inhale, reach it back up. Pull those elbows towards each other and then lift that head up. Bend into that front knee a tiny bit more. And then we'll reach those arms up, straighten that front leg and fold. Another breath. And then we'll plant those hands, step it back. Three-legged plank as we lower. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Good, inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step or hop those feet, top to mat. Bring those toes together to touch. Half lift on that inhale. And exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise to standing, reach it up tall. Sinking those hips down into that chair. Now we'll pull those elbows down, interlace those fingers, open that chest, drop the hips a little bit lower. Now hover that belly over the thighs, and then we'll straighten those legs as we fold. Releasing those hands down towards the mat, plant them, step or hop it back to our plank vinyasa. Again, if we're hopping it, we want that really soft landing. And then hips to the sky, down dog. Feet together, inhaling that right leg up. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl it in, stepping that foot through. Inhale those arms up. Bend into that front knee. Interlacing those fingers, bring the hands behind the head, elbows wide. Side bend over to the right side. Inhale, bring it back up. Pull those elbows towards each other. Lift that head up. And then we'll reach those arms back up. Straighten that front leg as we fold. One more breath. And then we'll plant those hands down. Go and step it back to our plank vinyasa. And exhaling those hips to the sky, down dog. Bring the feet together. Inhaling, that left leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl that knee and stepping that foot through. Inhale, reaching those arms up. Interlace the fingers behind the head. Bend it over to the left. Inhale, bring it back up. Pull those elbows towards each other and then lift that head. Arms will reach up to straighten that front leg and fold. Another breath. And then plant those hands. Step it on back. Vinyasa. And exhaling those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. And now inhale on the toes. Step or hop those feet, top of the mat. Toes together to touch. Flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise up. Sink those hips down into that chair. Draw the elbows down. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Open up through that chest. Now this time, hover the chest. Lift those heels up. Bend into the knees a little bit more. So sink the hips lower. Core tight. It's a little lower. Pull those shoulders back. Now release those heels. Release those arms as we fold. Let's let it hang here for a breath or two. And now let's plant those hands, step or hop those feet back, right into that vinyasa. Exhaling those hips to the sky, down dog. Let's go feet together, inhaling that right leg up. Right knee to that right elbow. Inhale it back up. Right knee to the left elbow. Now from here, extend that leg up, drop that heel down towards that right side. Left arm reaches up. And then lower that hand down. Inhale that right leg back up. Curl that knee to the nose, stepping that foot through. Inhale, reaching those arms up, back to that high crescent lunge. Then into that front knee, core tight. Now let's draw those elbows down. Interlace the fingers behind the back, open up through that chest. Now we're gonna start to hover that chest over that thigh, and then we're gonna lift that left leg up. Square those hips, point the toes down, reaching those knuckles back. Taking a big step back into that lunge. Arms reach up. Back heel will spin down. We'll tee out those arms coming into our warrior two. Knee presses out. So we want to be able to see that big toe. Gripping the toes, lifting through those arches. And it's that front knee a little more. Now lower that right forearm down. Left arm sweeps up overhead. Keep opening up through that chest, gazing up underneath that arm. And if you want to lower that hand down a little bit further, you can. Inhale, we'll rise back up. Straighten that front leg, flip that palm, reach it up and back. Now let's circle the hands all the way down towards the mat, stepping it back to our plank. Vinyasa. Feet will come together. Inhaling that left leg up. Bring that left knee to that left elbow. Inhale, send it back up. Exhaling that knee across. Extending that leg out. We'll drop that right heel down towards the left. Right arm reaches up. Lower that hand down, sending that leg back to the sky. Curling that knee to the nose, stepping that foot through. Inhaling those arms up overhead. Core tight. Deep bend to that front knee. Now pull those elbows down. Interlace the fingers. Open up that chest. And then hover, lifting that right leg up. It's coming into that warrior three, a humble warrior three. Pressing through that back heel. Squaring those hips off. Then big step back into that lunge. Arms are reaching up. Back heel spins down, teeing them out, arms out into that warrior two. Now we can lower that forearm down as we sweep that right arm up over our head. Get core tight, rotating that chest open. And inhale, we'll rise back up, straighten that front leg, reverse it so that left arm reaches up and back. Then we'll circle those hands all the way down to the mat, stepping it back to our plank. Then vinyasa. Exhaling, hips to the sky, downward facing dog. And bring those feet together. We'll inhale that right leg up. Bring that right knee to the right elbow. Inhale it up. Exhale it to the left elbow, extending that leg out. Drop that left heel down, left arm up. And lower that hand down, sending that leg back up. Curling that knee to the nose, stepping that foot through. Inhaling those arms up. Pull the elbows down. Interlace the fingers, open up through that chest. Hover, and then lift that left leg up. Square those hips, press through that heel. And take that big step back. Arms will reach up, back heel spins down, come right into that warrior two. Lower that forearm or lower that hand down as that left arm extends for that extended side angle. Inhale, revise, rise, back up for that reverse triangle. Now rebed into that front knee, back to that warrior two. We're gonna cartwheel those arms down. Now, we're gonna come into a lunge. We're adding on to this here, okay? That low lunge, so hands are on the ground, back knee is lifted in that lunge position. Now, we're gonna come into a modified side plank. Now, we're gonna drop that left heel down. We can walk our right foot back a little bit. Okay, sweeping that right arm up overhead. So think of a side plank, but our right foot is kind of up, and my right heel's kind of in line with my belly button. Okay, so lifting the hips, reach that arm up on that inhale, and then exhale, we'll hover that hip down. So lower the hips just a few inches above the ground. The right arm is reaching back towards I'm all twisted up, towards my left foot. But then inhale, lift those hips up, reach that arm up overhead. Hover it, lower it down. Inhale it back up. Lower it down. Good. Inhale, reach it back up. Now, we can reach that right arm up, sending that leg back into that plank. Now lower, right forearm down towards the mat. Drop the heels to that right side. Left arm reaches up. And lower both forearms down. Pressing those hips up. Walking those feet towards the hands of that dolphin dog. One more breath. And then we'll walk those feet back into our forearm plank. Drop the hips down. Hands will slide back underneath the shoulders. Roll the shoulders down and back as we lift that chest up dog. Exhaling those hips up and back. Down dog. Feet together. Inhaling that left leg up. Left knee towards that left elbow. Inhale it back up. Exhaling that knee across. Extend that leg through. Drop that heel down. Inhaling that right arm up. Now lower that hand down, sending that left leg up. Curl that knee to the nose, stepping that foot through into that crescent lunge. Inhaling those arms up. Now draw those elbows down, interlace those fingers, open up that chest, bend into that front knee a little bit more. Then we'll hover the chest. Right leg lifts. And then we'll take a big step back. Heel will lower down right into that warrior two. We'll lower that forearm down or lower that hand down. Right arm reaches up and over. And then inhale, rise back up, straighten that front leg. Flip that palm, reach it up and back. Now we'll reach out those arms. Okay, warrior two. We're gonna circle that right arm over, plant the right hand, spin that right heel up. Okay, now Start to twist, reaching that left arm up. Now start to walk that left foot back. The toes will be pointing towards the left side of the mat, so even dropping that right heel down. Extending that left arm up overhead as we lift those hips. Now hover the hips, reaching that left hand towards that right heel. Inhale it back up. Exhale it down, hover. Inhale it back up and down. Bring it back up, sending it to our side plank. So that left leg steps back into that plank. Hold. Now we'll lower the left forearm down, heels to the left. Right arm reaches up. And lower the right forearm down. So we're in a forearm plank. We want those fingertips gripping into the mat. Okay, now lifting those hips, walking those feet forward. Now from here, you can look forward just slightly. Make sure the shoulders are behind the elbows. If you want to just stay here, hang out here, you can. If you want to make it a little more challenging, lift that right leg up. One more breath. Lower, left leg lifts. And lower to the other side, right leg up. And down, left leg up. And down. Let's go right leg up, adding little baby hops, lifting. So looking forward, keep that core tight. Maybe we get those hips to stack over those shoulders. Good, now switch sides. Left leg up, right leg down, and hops. Maybe you get some little bit of air time. Good, and down, walk it back, lower the hips down. Sphinx pose, elbows pull back, lift up through that crown of the head. And relax it down. Hands come underneath those shoulders, pressing it back into a child's pose. Now, if you were feeling that and you were getting a little bit of air and you want to play around with it, we will give you one more option. Just take a break, relax those shoulders a little bit. Now we're going to try again. So I have a window I don't really want to put my foot through. So if you have a wall, I would go up against a wall here. Actually, no, that's not gonna work. Anyway, same thing again. Again, take your time, move your mat if you need to. We'll walk those feet to the hands, pressing the shoulders behind those elbows, core tight. Now again, lift the right foot up. This time we can do a little hop, but switch the feet. So then the right foot lands, left leg is up, okay? And then bend that knee, kick, lift, and other side, okay? Just going back and forth. Okay, if you feel pretty confident, maybe you can catch it in that arm balance. And maybe one more time, kick and switch and lower those legs down. Hips are up high, pressing those shoulders back for a couple more breaths. And then slowly walk those feet back into the forearm plank and lower. And hands come underneath those shoulders. Let's roll it down and back, lifting up through that chest. Now lowering it back down. Let's go and rest your chin, or maybe even lower an ear down to the mat. Those arms can come by the sides. And then bring those hands. We're going to interlace them behind the back. Okay. Walk those feet together. Point those toes. We'll draw those knuckles back as we start to lift up through that chest, through the head. Now I'm not gazing up. I'm almost tucking my chin just slightly so my neck can stay neutral. Lifting the shoulders up, lifting the hands, and now lifting those legs. Keep those feet zipping together. Trying to reach those knuckles back towards the heels. Couple more breaths. As we breathe, you're going to rock a little. And soften it down. Hands come underneath those shoulders and then send it back into that child's pose. Knees can be as wide as you would like. Hips press back to those heels and that head rests down. And then we'll come back up onto hands and knees. Let's step it back to our plank. Hips up, down dog. And then we'll bring that right knee to that right elbow. Foot's coming across, we're coming into our pigeon. The left leg slides back, and then we'll lower onto those forearms, just resting that head down. So we'll pull that shin back. The left knee's pulling forward. And then come back onto those hands. Send it back to that downward facing dog. And then we'll bring that left knee towards that left wrist, foot comes across, right leg slides back. And then we'll lower that forearm down. The forearm comes down and resting that head down. And then we'll come back to those hands. Stepping it back into that downward facing dog. Let's come to those knees and into a seat. We're going to extend. So if I'm mirroring you, your left leg is extending out, your right foot is coming to that inner thigh of that left leg. Okay, we're going to reach those arms up first, okay, lowering the left elbow down. Okay, so the chest stays open, shoulders stay stacked on top of each other. That right arm is coming up and over like we're trying to reach for that toe. So really, really big side stretch all along this side. And then we'll bring it back up and we'll twist, reaching the right hand across that shin, sitting nice and tall, a little bit of twist as we fold. And then we'll bring it back up, other side, so we'll extend the right leg out, okay, arms up, and then we'll pull that right. So yeah, the right leg is coming out, the right elbow comes down towards the thigh or inside of it, and then that left arm is reaching up and over. And then we'll find that twist. Okay, so that left hand reaches across that shin, find the length, and then fold. And then bring it back up. Let's go ahead and bring, oops, 1 second. All right, we're gonna bring both feet nice and wide. If you don't wanna sit back a little bit so your heels can stay on your mat. So walk those feet out as wide as you can get. Sit nice and tall, flexing those feet, maybe even bending those knees. Now I'm not rounding, sitting tall and then rolling over from the sit bones. Big stretch through those inner thighs. Keep that tall chest. And we can walk those hands forward, pulling the elbows back. And now bring it back up. Let's draw those knees together and we'll roll onto your backs. We'll hug those knees in. Just give it a little rock from side to side. We'll keep that right knee in, left leg will extend out, twisting it over to, twisting the right knee over to that left side of the mat. Right arm will just fall open. And bring that knee back to center. Switching sides, hug that left knee in, right leg extends out. And then we'll twist that knee across. Extend that left arm out. And bring that knee back to center. Hug both of those knees in. Rounding that spine. Bring the forehead to the knees. And then extend those legs out. Reach those arms overhead, that full body stretch. And exhaling those arms down by the sides. Walk the shoulder blades together. Those arms come a little bit wider. Big breath in. And exhale it out. Just relax here for a moment. And begin to deepen the breath. Just wiggling those fingers and those toes. We'll reach those arms overhead, that full body stretch, fingertips down through those toes. We'll curl the knees into the chest, just gently. We'll roll over onto that right side, letting that right arm support the head, left arm just falls in front. And then press yourself up into that seat. Legs crossed, sitting tall. Eyes remain closed, just rolling those shoulders down and back. Taking that big breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And then blinking those eyes open. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening. We do have class again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So if you can make that, I'd love to I guess, see you there. But anyway, have a good one.